This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Recording in progress.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem. We're continuing Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua. Today we begin Siman Ayin Ches. And I guess we also conclude today Siman Ayin Ches. So the plan is that we will try to do Ayin Ches today, part of the Hakdama tomorrow, and the rest of it Friday, okay? And then we will be up to date, amazingly. Okay, so Siman Ayin Ches. Mishna tzarich lahato mayim b'shas kriya. Someone who has to urinate when he's saying Shema. Haya koirei v'yischilu me'raglav shoysen al berkav. Somebody was reading Shema and the urine began dripping down his legs, down his knees. Yeah. Poisek ad sheyichlu hamayim v'choyzer lekrois. He stops until the water stops dripping, and then he goes back to reading it. Afilum nafla abagadav. Even if the urine fell on his clothing, soiled his clothing, v'yesh b'hem toifach m'naslat biach, and it's wet enough to make something else wet. Kivan shehem mechusim b'bivgadai. It's covered in his clothing, so his pants could be soaking wet with urine. It's very wet, and nevertheless he could continue to read as long as it's not actively dripping. V'im naflu me'arglaim ba'aretz. If the urine fell down to the ground, marchik mehem arba amos. He distances 4 cubits. Haga oy kashir sheizbar lekaman siman pei beis, or the amount that it's explained later in siman pei beis. Are you allowed to face it? Oy mamtin ad sheibala b'karka, or he waits until it gets absorbed in the ground. Va'afilu shah k'dei ligmar skula. Even if you delayed, even if the amount of time that you paused was to finish the whole Shema, you only have to go back to the place that you stopped. The Ramah says that if you delayed the amount of time to finish the whole thing, you have to go back to the beginning. This is the Ikar. Like I wrote earlier in Siman Samachay, it depends how long it takes you to say Shema. If you have the great ability to say Shema in 10 seconds and you pause 10 seconds, so then you would have to go back to the beginning. If it takes you an hour to say Shema and you pause 45 minutes, you do not have to go back. Says the Mishna Berura, Haya Karei, Hu adin l'divrei Torah v'letfila poisek ad shichla mayim l'shtais. Likewise, if you're learning, you're davening, you have to stop so long as you're actively urinating. What about if someone's in the middle of blowing shofar? The Ber Halacha and Siman Tavkov Peiches brings the opinion of the Matei Ephraim that you stop until the water stops dripping and then you go to the beginning. However, if you blew while you were actively urinating, you're yotzei. But you should go back and blow without a bracha. Why? Listen to this. Because since you need to be mechavein to be yotzei the mitzvah, it's considered like divrei Torah. Oh boy, that's a wild idea. Because this is a very interesting halacha. I don't remember if we discussed it yet. Are you allowed to do mitzvahs in the bathroom? Are you allowed to shake a lulav and esrog in the bathroom? Where do we have this? By talis? Are you allowed to put on a tzitz?
We discussed it last week about messages giving tzedakah on the phone or something.
All right. We did discuss that then. But do we discuss something inside? Anyone remember? Do we have this inside? Are you allowed to do mitzvahs in the bathroom? So the Matei Ephraim says, what's the issue with blowing shofar? Really, you're allowed to do a mitzvah in the bathroom. It's just, you're going to have kavanah to be yotzei. Kavanah to be yotzei a mitzvah is nechshav l'divrei Torah. Also, he says you should not do avodas Hashem derech bizayin. To blow the shofar in the bathroom would be derech bizayin. Okay. Mishna Berura.
You don't have to worry about a ray of drop while it's coming down.
Sorry, what?
You don't have a ray of drop at the time.
Reach ra. Do you have to deal? What about the reach ra of the urine? Okay, good point. Let's see if it's discussed. ואפילו מצרך הידי זה לישס הרבה באמצע התפילה שכדי לגמר כולה, ויצרך הידי זה אחרי הלך זה ראש, אפילו הכי ממתן. Meaning, this halacha, that while someone is actively urinating, they pause, even if by doing so, you're going to have to delay the amount of time it takes to say the whole tefillah, and you're going to have to go back to the beginning because of that, like the Shita of the Ramah. Nevertheless, you should delay. Hamayim, so what's this going on? You stop until the urine ceases. Va'afta lamata birkav lachas adayim imeraglav mutter. Even if below your knees it's still wet with urine, you could continue davening. Now, tsoya al gufa mechusa bebeged, that we had in Siman Ayin Vav, Sif Dalid, whether that's an issue. We had a yesh matirim v'yesh oisrim. However, when it comes to urine, it's okay. Again, urine is not asr midairaisa only if it's amud shel meraglayim. Right, the Berura said in Sif Katan Beis, "Minat Torah ein asr likrois rak keneged amud. Ve'achshnav al aretz ein yisur rak midavrei soifrem." That's why we're makel to be mevatelet. Fine. Bevigdai. You know what it means? Your beged, the undergarment. Your long johns are wet. Your undershirt is wet. However, your pant is dry. Because if the pant is wet, if the outer garment is soiled with urine, for Shema and other divrei kedusha, you have to go and remove your clothing. Or at the very least, to cover the soiled place with a different garment. So either you have to remove it or cover it. Where you will not be able to interrupt and be involved in this, you could continue davening as usual after it finishes dripping, because the isser of urine is only rabbinic, and you're already standing in tefillah, they were not geyser on this. Marchik ayin beber halacha de le'inyan tefillah gam keinachal lahachmer laharchik benafloi loy ala aretz kamei l'kriyas shema. The Be'er Halacha says that this din, that naflu ba'aretz marchik dalet amos, is also lechatchila one should be machmer for tefillah, not just for shema. He brings that the Beis Yosef passes like the Rashba, that ein tzarich laharchik, which is midrabanan. However, later on, the Mechaber is mashma otherwise. Amos, either distance for amos, or imam tinat sheyibalu bakarka kasher sheisbar lekaman siman pei beis. Either you distance for amos, or you wait. In other words, our girsa of the Ramah is oy kashir, kashir lekaman oy mamtin. Rather, the Mishnah Berura says you should read it, or you wait the amount of until it's absorbed in the ground, like it's mavuar in Siman Pei Beis. Kach tzarich lomer. You see the gersa change of the Mishnah Berura? If you read the Ramah, it just says your marchik for amos, says Ramah, or the amount that it's mizbar in Siman Pei Beis, as if there's some other shiur of how far you have to distance yourself mentioned in Siman Pei Beis, or you wait. But that's not in fact what the Ramah means. What the Ramah means is you wait the amount of time that it takes till it gets absorbed in the ground. The Gold of MMH the after efshar the ayideham tana ala bli yitzarch lishos kedei ligmar kula, even if waiting until it gets absorbed would cause you to wait the amount of time it takes to finish the whole thing. V'yitzarch lachs, otherwise you have to go back to the beginning. Afilu hachi ein lachash l'zeh b'kriyas shema. Nevertheless, you do not have to be concerned by kriyas shema. Dahavik kari b'Torah. It's not an issue. So what if you wait the amount of time that it takes till you say the whole thing? So you'll say it again. Not a problem. It's kikari b'Torah. In other words, the eitzah of waiting until it gets absorbed is fine by Shema, because worse comes to worse. saying it again is not an issue. But this eitzah of waiting by Berchas Kriyashma, Toiv Yoiser Sheyarchik Mehem, it's better instead of waiting to distance yourself. V'layamtin ala blia b'karka, don't wait until it gets absorbed in the ground. Uv'diyavidim Shabbat Berchas Kriyashma Kedei Ligmar Kula, Einoi Chayzer L'Rosh, you don't go back to the beginning. What if you waited the amount of time to finish from Yotzar until Gal Yisrael? Then you do have to go back. So it's interesting. If, when it comes to Berchas Kriyashma, Hamtana Kedei Ligmar Kula, of that bracha, you don't go back to the beginning. By Shema, the Rama says, you do. Says the Mishnah Berura, V'chein Iker, Ayin Le'el B'Siman Samachev Mishnah Berura Be'arlacha D'V'yarnu Sham Kol Pratei Din Zeh. Look earlier in Siman Samachay in the Mishnah Berura, we explained all the details of this halacha. Let's see what that means exactly. Says the Mishnah Berura that what? That basically, when you're shak kedei ligmaras kula, whether you have to go back is going to be talei on whether you were an oines at the time of the hefsek. So here also, you were an oines at the time you were urinating. It wasn't, you chose not to continue saying the Shema, but you were an oines. Well, inyan tefillah, regarding tefillah, im nizdamin kem emtza, if this happened in the middle, v'himtin al havas mayim, and you waited till water was brought, ay al hablia b'karka, b'chdei ligmars kula, nirali de efsha de ein tzarach lachzil l'roish. Could be you don't have to go back to the beginning. Only by Shema. Why not by tefillah? Ki b'diavad yeshus mechadas harashba v'atoisus and brachos chav beis omid beis dir maschel mamtin desfrilu de ein tzarach laharchik klal. You could rely on the Rashba and Toisus that really you didn't have to distance at all. Kivan shikvarhu amid b'tefillah. We just saw before that in Sivkat and Daled that this whole din is by Shema, but by tefillah it could be you could be mekel because distance you're oisek in tefillah. So that shita is a lifesaver here, because that shita would say that if in fact you did wait by tefillah, it was not an oines, because you really didn't have to. And in that case, you would not have to go back and start from the beginning. If so, you were not an oines. Unless if the hefsek until the act of urination stopped was kedei ligmaras kula, that would be an oines, because that halachically you did have to wait for. Someone who has an illness, that's always dripping urine, see later on in Siman Pei what such a person should do. Okay, we're going to hold it here. The Ezos Hashem between tomorrow and Friday, we'll try to do this Hakdama, which I believe has 10 parts to it. 10 different parts to it. Okay, Rabbi Say, good to see everybody back. Have a gezunta zumar and a good zman. Have a good day, everyone. Kol tov.
Recording stopped.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.